Alright, what's going on guys, and welcome back to the Bit of Footy YouTube channel. And in today's video, we're going to be running through my tips for week 1 of the 2023 AFL Finals Series. So yeah, let's not waste any time and let's get into the first game of the 2023 AFL Final Series. Alright, kicking off the 2023 AFL Final Series, we've got the first final tonight between my Pies and the D's at the MCG, 7:20 p.m. The last time these two teams met, the D's got the job done by a margin of 4 points, where the scoreline was 66 to 62 in favour of Melbourne. The scoreline could have been a bit bigger in favour of Melbourne, considering they only kicked 8 goals, 18. So if they're a bit more accurate, the scoreline could have been a bit bigger for Melbourne. Having a look at the last 5 games for both of these sides, starting off with Collingwood, my Pies, we have won 2 of our last 5 games. The most recent game being a win to my Pies by a margin of 70 points over Essendon. For the D's, they've won their past 4 games out of their last 5 matches, and their most recent game was a win over Sydney by a margin of 21 points. So yeah, this is going to be a very entertaining and very interesting game. Obviously it's the first qualifying final of this final series, and I just can't wait to go there tonight. I'll just admit that first. I can't wait to go there tonight, and yeah, I'm going to be supporting my Pies very loudly. I'm very tense at the moment. I'm very excited. I'm very nervous as well, obviously, because it is a final. So yeah, I've got all those emotions wrapped up into one at the moment. But yeah, for my tip, I'm going to be backing in my Pies to get the job done, and I've tipped my Pies by a margin of 7 points. I don't think whoever wins this game will win by over a single figure margin. I reckon whoever wins this game will win it by a single figure margin. So yeah, I've went my Pies by a margin of 7 points only. Yeah, I don't think it's going to blow out to a significant margin in this game, but yeah, it's going to be a very tough game. Obviously the D's defense, they are very strong. They've got the likes of May and Lever, and even Judd McVie as well. He's been very good in the back line for the D's, but I still feel like we're going to find a way to get the job done in this game. I reckon we'll have a tactic to get past that D's defense, and hopefully score enough to get the job done against these D's. Obviously it's going to be a very tough game though. The D's have been in very good form coming into this game and coming into this whole final series, so it is going to be a very tough game. But yeah, I do think my Pies will be able to get the job done in this game. I do think we're going to find a way to get past the D's, no matter what that way might be. But yeah, I'm backing in my Pies by a margin of 7 points against the D's. Come on, the Pies. The next final we have got is the first elimination final of this final series between the Blues and the Swans at the MCG tomorrow night. The last time these two teams met, Sydney got the job done by a margin of 26 points over the Blues, where the scoreline was 77 to 51 in favour of the Swans. And the Blues on that day, they weren't very accurate. They kicked 6 goals, 15. So who knows, if they're a bit more accurate, maybe the game would have been a little bit closer than it was at full time. Having a look at the last 5 games for these two teams, starting off with Carlton. Carlton have won 4 of their last 5 games, but their last game that they played ended up being a loss against GWS by a margin of 32 points. Having a look at Sydney's last 5 games, they've also won 4 of their last 5 games, but their last game was also a loss by a margin of 21 points against the D. So both of these teams are coming into this final series on the back of a loss. But yeah, this one's a tough game to tip. I can see it going both ways, and I just feel like it's going to be a very entertaining game, this one. I can really see it going both ways. But in the end, I've tipped Carlton to get the job done over the Swans in this game. I do think the Blues are just going to have, a little bit of a spark in them to get the job done over the Swans in this game. And I've tipped Carlton to get the job done by a margin of 13 points. I do think it's going to go over the single figure margin this game, and the Blues will get the job done by 13 points. I could see them getting the job done by a little bit more, but I do think the Swans are going to keep it relatively close in this game for the majority of the game. But yeah, I do see the Blues sort of, having like that 7-point margin and then kicking that winning goal in the end to make it a 13-point margin and winning the game over Sydney. But like I said before, I can see it going both ways this game. Both teams have been in pretty good form coming in to this game in this final series. Like I said before, they both won 4 out of their last 5 games. So yeah, this should be a very interesting game to watch. It should be a very tightly contested game as well. It's obviously an elimination final, so no one wants to leave in the first week of finals. But yeah, I'm backing in Carlton to get the job done by a margin of 13 points over the Swans in this one. Alright, and the next game is the second elimination final of this final series. It is between St Kilda and the Giants at the MCG, 3:20 p.m. on Saturday. The last time these two teams met, it was the Saints getting the job done by a margin of 12 points, where the scoreline was 92-80 in favour of St Kilda. And the last three times that these two teams have met, all games were played at Giant Stadium. The last 3 times these two teams have met, and St Kilda have managed to get the job done all 3 times, so fair play to St Kilda. And they've been pretty good matches as well. The highest margin the last 3 games these two teams have met was 17 points, where the Saints got the job done. So yeah, fair play to St Kilda. But yeah, having a look at the last 3 games, this game should be a close game. And having a look at the last 5 games of each two sides, kicking off with St Kilda. St Kilda have won their last 3 games of their last 5 games. Their most recent game was a loss against the Lions by a margin of 12 points. Whereas the Giants, they've also won 3 of their last 5 games, whereas their most recent game was a win over the Blues by a margin of 32 points. So the Giants are coming into this game with a little bit of form behind them. But the Saints have been playing some decent footy the last few games they've been played, the last few games that they have played. So yeah, this should be a very interesting and very entertaining game. For my tip though, I am actually backing in the Giants to get the job done. I know that the Saints have, sort of had the upper hand over the Giants the last few games, but I'm backing in the Giants to get the job done by a total margin of 8 points in this game. I do think it's going to be a very close final this game. It is an elimination final, so yeah, no team, like I said before, will want to get kicked out the first week of finals. But yeah, I just have a feeling the Giants will manage to get the job done. I do think the Saints are going to push the Giants for the majority of this game, but I do think the Giants will find a way to get the job done. I do think Toby Green is going to step up massively in this game to help the Giants get the job done in this game, and I do think the Giants midfield are going to stand up in this game, and that will go a long way to get the Giants over the line against St Kilda in this game. But I can see the Saints getting the job done. Obviously this game being in Melbourne, this game being at the MCG, and you know, the Saints, they've actually played alright at the MCG this year. So yeah, I can see the Saints getting the job done. But for my tip, I'm backing in the Giants by a margin of 8 points. I do think it's sort of, you know, what it's going to be one of those games where, you know, the Saints will, you know, really want to, you know, come out and win, but the Giants are just going to sort of frustrate them, and from that point on, get the job done in this game. So yeah, I'm backing in the Giants to get the job done over the Saints in this game by a margin of 8 points. And the last game of the first week of the finals, we've got the Lions taking on Port Adelaide at the Gabba Saturday night at 7:25 p.m. Victorian time. The last time these two teams met was, I believe, in round one, back in round one, where Port Adelaide got the job done by a margin of 54 points, where the scoreline was 126 to 72 in favour of Port Adelaide. But a lot of things have changed since then. Having a look at the last 5 games for both of these sides, the Lions have won 4 of their last 5 games heading into this final. Their most recent game was a win over St Kilda by a margin of 12 points, where Port Adelaide have won their past 3 of their last 5 games, where their most recent game was a win over the Tigers by a margin of 31 points. So yeah, this should be a very entertaining game. Second versus third. I could see this sort of being a shootout sort of scenario. In this game, I can see it sort of being a high scoring affair, especially considering that both teams have very good forward lines on paper. So yeah, this should be a very entertaining game, this one. For my tip, I am backing in the Lions to get the job done in this game. I have tipped the Lions by a margin of 21 points. I do think the Lions will sort of, you know, really push this game out in the end and manage to win this game by a little bit of a margin. So yeah, that's why I've went the Lions by a margin of 21 points in the end. But you never know, because, you know, all the pressure will sort of be on Brisbane to get the job done in this game, considering this game is at the Gabba, and the Lions have played very well at the Gabba this year, obviously being their home ground. So yeah, all the pressure is sort of on Brisbane to win this game. So maybe that pressure will go a long way, and maybe it will help Port Adelaide in the end to get the job done, because, you know, Port Adelaide, they're not expected to win this game, so they're sort of going into this game no real pressure on their mind. Obviously there's a little bit of pressure from their fans to get the job done. There's no massive pressure in this game, because they're not expected to win this game. They're not expected to go to the Gabba against the Lions, where the Lions have built a little bit of a fortress this season, and get the job done. So, you know, that could work towards Port Adelaide's favour, not having a lot of pressure on them. But still, I still feel like, you know, the Lions will get the job done in this game. Their forward line, throughout the last few games that they've played, has really looked good. They've really been clicking together very well, nicely. Their midfield is, you know, slowly building very nicely. I mean, their last few games, their midfield has been very good as well. But yeah, I am going to be backing in Brisbane to get the job done by a margin of 21 points. But like I said, you never know. The pressure could get to the Lions in the end, and Port Adelaide could come out on top. But yeah, I do think the Lions will be a little bit too good in this game for Port Adelaide at the Gabba at home. So yeah, I'm backing in the Lions by a margin of 21 points over Port Adelaide in this one. So yeah, there you have it. Those are my tips for week 1 of the 2023 AFL Final Series. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Leave your tips in the comments below, and enjoy the first week of the 2023 AFL Final Series. Cheers guys for watching, and go Pies for tonight.